Good morning, dear students. In today's video, we shall try to understand lesson number 3 of your history, ruling the countryside. Since the chapter is quite big, I have divided the chapter into two videos, that is two parts. This is the first part that I am going to explain today. The rest of the chapter will be explained in your next video. The first point that we are going to study is here, the company becomes the Diwan. It was already explained in your lesson number 2 of history that in the year of 1765, on 12th August, the Mughal emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. In the year 1765, the East India Company, they were given the Diwani rights, or they were made the Diwan of Bengal. As Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. About this point I am not going in detail because it was already explained in your previous video in lesson number 2. In simple sense we can say, in the year of 1765, the East India Company was made as the Diwan of Bengal, and this Diwani right gave the right to the East India Company to collect the revenue of Bengal. So like that, the company or the East India Company, it becomes the Diwan with the Diwani rights. Even you can see in your the first page of this chapter, it is given, the picture is given here, and it is also written here, Robert Clive accepting the Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa from the Mughal ruler in 1765. You can see in the court, here is Robert Clive, and he is accepting here the Diwani of 3 states, Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, from the Mughal ruler. From the picture, if you will see the book, you can easily understand about it. Now comes revenue for the company. What was the benefit when the East India Company was made as the Diwan of Bengal, or the benefit of the Diwani? See, before 1865, the company had purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Before the year of 1865, the East India Company, they brought silver and gold from their country and purchased the goods in India. Now the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase of goods for export. But now, after getting the Diwani rights, the East India Company, they stopped to bring gold and silver from their country, but they used the revenue which was collected from our India itself to purchase the different things in our country. Artisans were deserting villages since they were being forced to sell their goods to the company at low prices. The artisans who were producing different things, they were forced by the East India Company to sell their goods at low prices. As a result, the artisans, they started to leave the villages. Even peasants were unable to pay the dues that were being demanded from them. The peasants or the farmers, they were also demanded huge money to pay to the company, which they were not able to pay, and they also started to leave the villages. So we can say, after getting the Diwani rights, it had an inverse effect on the Indian society or Indian life. The next point that we are going to study is the need to improve agriculture. When the British got the Diwani rights, they started to collect the revenue. They also felt that the agriculture should be improved. During the time of Charles Cornwallis, the permanent settlement was introduced in 1793 to improve agriculture. One system was introduced. The name of the system was the permanent settlement, and this permanent settlement was introduced in the year of 1793, and at that time Charles Cornwallis was the Governor General. You can see in page number 28 of your history book, it is there, the picture of Charles Cornwallis is here. Cornwallis was the Governor General of India when the permanent settlement was introduced. Under him only this permanent settlement was introduced. Now question comes, what is the meaning of permanent settlement? You can see it is written here. According to this, the Rajas were recognized as Jamindars. According to permanent settlement, the Rajas or the Indian rulers, they were regarded as the Jamindars. They were asked to collect rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. These Rajas or the kings, they were regarded as the Jamindars, and they were given the permission to collect the rent. These Rajas collected the rent from the peasants or the farmer, and then they paid to the company. So we can say the Rajas or the Jamindars, they were working like middlemen. The amount to be paid was fixed permanently, and the amount of revenue which was to be paid to the East India Company, it was fixed. It will not be changed in future. That's about permanent settlement. But when this permanent settlement was introduced, some problems were created. What were the problems? You see, the permanent settlement created problems. The Jamindars were not investing in the improvement of land. Actually, the permanent settlement was introduced for improving agriculture. The East India Company thought that the Rajas or the Jamindars, they will be investing for the improvement of land, but they did not do like that. The revenue that had been fixed was so high that the Jamindars found it difficult to pay. The revenue which was fixed by the East India Company, I already told you it was fixed permanently, and it was so high that the Jamindars found it very difficult to pay. Anyone who failed to pay the revenue lost his Jamindari. Any ruler or any Raja who failed to pay this revenue lost his Jamindari. So the problems were actually the Jamindars, they were expected to invest for the improvement of land, but they did not do like that. As a result, the cultivation was not increased, and as cultivation was not increased, the farmers or the peasants were not able to pay the rent to the Rajas, and for that the Rajas, they were also not able to pay the revenue, and consequently they started to lose their Jamindari, and this was the problem which was created because of the permanent settlement. Another system or another settlement was introduced by the East India Company, that was known as the Mahalwari Settlement. This system was devised by Holt Mackenzie, which came into effect in 1822. This Mahalwari Settlement, it was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in the year, and it came into effect in the year of 1822. Under this system, collectors went from village to village, inspecting the land, measuring the fields, recording the customs and rights of different groups. You see, if we will compare it with the permanent settlement, in permanent settlement, the Jamindars or the Rajas, they collected the money from the peasants. But under the Mahalwari settlement, the collectors, they went from village to village, inspecting the land. They started to inspect the quality of land. They measured the land, as well as they recorded the different customs and the rights of different groups. The revenue demand was to be revised periodically. This revenue, which was fixed permanently in the permanent settlement, it was not like that in the Mahalwari settlement. In Mahalwari settlement, the revenue was to be revised periodically, means it will be changed time to time. The charge of collecting the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the village headman and not to the Jamindars. We have already got that in the permanent settlement, the revenue was collected by the Jamindars, but in the Mahalwari settlement, the revenue was collected by the village headman, and then the village headman would give the revenue to the company. So that's about the Mahalwari system. Another system was devised by Thomas Munro, that was known as the Munro system. You can see it is there in your history book. You can see this is the picture of Thomas Munro in page number 29 of your history book. It is there. You can see Thomas Munro. He was the person who introduced the Munro system. Well, this Munro system, it was developed by Thomas Munro, who was the governor of Madras. Madras, you know, the present name is Chennai. Thomas Munro, he was the governor of Madras or Chennai, and he introduced the Munro system. By his name only, the name of the system is given as the Munro system. According to this, they made direct contact with the cultivators who had tilled the land for generations, and under the Munro system, the East India Company, they made direct contact with the cultivators. The cultivators, they were the real owner of the land. They tilled or they cultivated the land for generations, and that's why Thomas Munro, he felt that they would directly contact with the cultivators for improving the agriculture. Their fields were carefully surveyed before the revenue assessment. Before the revenue was fixed, the land was properly surveyed. The quality of land was judged properly before fixing the revenue. And this system was devised by Thomas Munro and was known as the Munro system. Okay, now crops for Europe. The East India Company, when they got the Diwani rights, first of all they collected the revenue, and then they started to go to the village areas or the rural areas and started to demand for the production of certain crops. The company tried to expand the production of opium and indigo. First of all, they started to force the cultivators to cultivate opium and indigo. Opium, we can say it's one type of plant like tobacco, we can say, and indigo, it's one plant which produce rich blue color. We shall be discussing about the indigo production and the others in our next video. They forced cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops. Not only they forced the cultivators for the production of opium and indigo, besides this, in different parts of our country, depending on the soil quality, the British or the East India Company, they forced the cultivators to cultivate different other crops. Like they forced the cultivators in Bengal to produce jute. They forced the cultivators of tea in Assam. They forced the cultivators of UP in UP to produce sugarcane, wheat in Punjab, rice in Madras, etc. So we can say here crops for Europe, mainly they were forcing the cultivators to for the production of opium, indigo, jute, we can say tea, we can say sugarcane, wheat, as well as rice. These are the different crops which were in demand by the East India Company. Now, the last part for today's video is demand for Indian indigo. As I already told you, I shall be explaining in detail about the production of indigo, different processes or different systems which were involved in the indigo production, and the different problems which were created because of this indigo production in our next video. Here it is given demand for Indian indigo. Why Indian indigo was in demand? Indigo is a plant which produces rich blue color. It primarily grows in the tropics. You can say in the tropical region, this indigo plant generally grows. The Indian indigo was used by the manufacturers in Italy and France. First of all, when the Indian indigo cultivators they cultivated indigo, it was mainly exported in Italy and France. But when Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded in Britain, we can say in between 1783 and 1789, they started to industrialize and their cotton production also expanded. At that time it was in need of indigo, and that's the reason why the cloth dyers in Britain turned to India and demand for Indian indigo increased. The point was demand for Indian indigo. See, first of all, Indian indigo, it was sent to Italy and France. But when Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production increased or expanded, they were in need of this color, and for this color they depended on indigo, and that's the reason why the demand for Indian indigo increased in between 1783 and 1789. So that's about today's video. You go through the video properly, read the chapter. If any doubt is there, get it clear from me. And in our next video, we shall be discussing broadly on the production of indigo and the other different topics. Thank you.